Hey Dude,
The 90s Called.
with Christine Taylor and David Lascher.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Hey Dude, the 90s Called. I'm Christine Taylor.
And I'm David Lascher.
And we have a really fun guest today. David, I think we both know this guest from eons ago, right?
From
when you and I knew each other, right? From right around our Hey Dude days, maybe just a little after.
No, I met Jerry before we did a Burger King commercial together a few years before Hey Dude.
What? Wait, first of all, do we all have in common that we did Burger King commercials together?
That was your first job too, right?
That was my first job. Oh, we are forever bonded, the three of us.
Jerry is a New York actor. He started when he was young, and I saw him all the time, and I'm so excited to talk to him.
Well, should we let him in? Should we say hi to our guest?
Yeah, let's say hi to the birthday boy.
Jerry OConnell.
What's up? Ain't no boring, I'm not in my closet. I'm not in some
look at
makeup
you.
room. Wait, let me make sure. I wear glasses now, everybody. I'm so sorry.
You're still handsome, though. Still handsome.
Dapper as ever. You're obviously on a Hollywood lot, I'm going to guess.
It's a fake backdrop. It's a green screen.
Oh, look at you.
Oh, my gosh. It's so great to see you guys. It really is.
You too, buddy.
Thank you for joining us.
What an honor to be here. I guess it's so funny. I never thought of myself as a 90s icon, but I guess I am. I mean, I'm up here with Stiller and Derwitz. It's like I'm in that same rarefied 90s air.
You sure are.
Yeah, you keep it going, but we're gonna go back into your 90s stuff. But you're hotter than ever, man. Congrats on the talk. It's so awesome.
Yeah, you know what's so funny is so for those who don't know who are listening, I'm Jerry OConnell, and I was an actor, a contemporary of Christine's and of David's for many years. And about a decade ago, I got into hosting. And it's funny. I'm going to tell you honestly, I felt a little bit like, I was not working as much as an actor. And it's frustrating. But, when you get to be my age, you have periods in your career where you don't work and you have children and you have to work.
Bills.
And, I actually went back to grad school. Actually, I was going through such a quiet time, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I was fortunate enough. Kelly Ripa invited me to co-host with her. At the time, it was Regis and Kelly, and Regis was on sabbatical, and I went to go co-host once. I'll tell you, I really felt I felt like I was an actor, and I couldn't. I mean, listen, guys, back in our day, you couldn't do what they called reality television. You couldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? We were actors. I was an actor. I was in Stand By Me, man. I was in room 6.
Oh, no.
You were in room 6? You were in Calendar Girl.
I was in Calendar Girl.
Yes.
And and I'm not going to say I thought it was a step down, but I felt above it that I couldn't do it. And it was Kelly Ripa who grabbed my arm after I hosted once and said, "Hey, you should do this. I'm telling you, I'm an actress and I know what you're thinking right now. And you're good at this. This is going to be a job for you." And I remember thinking, I'm an actor. I'm not doing this. And I am so grateful. Every day I wake up and I try and make okay, what am I grateful for today? And it's a long list. And every day, thank you to Kelly Ripa for telling me to host and stick with it, because I'm a talk show host now. I mean, that's
Jerry, let me tell you, there's not a lot of actors that can pivot that way. I mean, you happen to be a natural,
Well, you guys have naturally rolled into a podcast. So I'm not the only one.
Yeah, we're grateful, and it's so fun, right, Christine?
It's so much fun. But Jerry, you have always had that personality. You are the person that the minute someone walks into the room, whether it's a set or a party or whatever it is, you make whoever that person is feel comfortable. You like as if we've known you a million years. And that is infectious. I mean, and that is why you're such an incredible host, because everyone feels like they're your best friend. And that's such a gift.
Are you still a Bachelor fan?
Yes, of course. I mean, I do not watch it.
Used to be?
Not as obsessively as the time as the year that your brother was.
So I want to tell a little Bachelor-esque story. I was going through one of those periods where I was not working. I wasn't as hot as I used to be as an actor. It happens, okay. And I got a call out of the blue from my agent, which was kind of shocking. And they said, you've been offered the role in a film called Room 6. And I was like, this is incredible. Like, finally, people are recognizing my talent.
I can't wait to hear
now,
this.
By the way, because I want to tell you, and David and Christine, you can jump in here. Like, everyone talks about when you come to LA, you get what's called sides, which is like a scene that you practice. And you go and you sit in the same waiting room with the David Lashers and all the other actors who look like you. And you audition for the same roles and you see each other. And there's a competitiveness, but it's also like a friendliness. And you have a lot in common, but at the same time, they're your competitors. And it's tough. It's a market. It's a factory. You have to keep working at it. But all you strive to do is get to that point where you're what they call offer only, which is like, you don't have to audition. And everyone talks about, well, you must be offer only at this point. And that's like the goal. By the way, I want to say someone who has been acting for 30 plus years, it's never offer only. I still have to do, I'm doing a self-tape, which I'm taping myself right here at this setup after we speak. But I finally got offered something, Room 6. Starring Christine herself. And I was like, finally, I'm getting
You've arrived.
Offers. This is what I'm talking about.
You're getting your due.
My brother had just signed up to be the newest Bachelor. It was a big deal. My brother was going to be on The Bachelor. We watched the show and it was really exciting. I get to set, we rehearse. I meet Christine. I mean, this is like an honor. And
Jerry, you are really
Christine
painting this picture very differently.
Christine turned to me day one on set and goes, I'm like, this is so exciting. I got offered this role. It's such an honor to work with you. I'm really excited. And Christine said, your brother is the Bachelor, right? Yeah. And Christine said, we were going through names of who should co-star Room 6 with me. And I'm a big fan of your work, but also I'd like to know everything about this season of The Bachelor. And it was really fun because
Go Charlie.
Going through that season of The Bachelor was insane for my family. It really, I'm sorry to say this, it was kind of a terrible experience. I was
gonna say, Jerry, it had to have been horrible because
you were there every step of the way, and I told you everything, Christine.
You told me everything. I mean, I have never
why,
had.
Why was it so horrible?
Because this is before. Look, this is a '90s podcast. This is before they had like mental health rules and everything. And I can't speak. I can't speak on behalf of my brother, but it is in my opinion that he went a little bananas doing that. Like, you really buy into it. He bought into it. He thought he was isolated from us. He was in a world where he was convinced it was the most important thing. And I'm sorry, Christine. I'm sorry, Bachelor Nation. It's the freaking Bachelor. Chill out.
It's not. Believe me. Yes. And as a fan, you can watch it as just pure entertainment. But for the people going through it and having to live through it and their families, I completely understand that. And I remember you telling me the stories, and I felt as much as you think that that's why you got offered the role. In fact, I'm going to go so far as to say I believe you were attached to that thing before I got asked to do it.
Oh,
So
he did a Jerry OConnell movie. That's what happened.
You spun that beautifully. Really spun that beautifully. But
we
I'll take it.
We had so much fun. I mean, it's a horror film. I don't know how its Rotten Tomato score is. Actually, I do. Don't check on it, everybody. But
we're giving it a beautiful plug here. Yes,
we were struggling with a budget, and I have to say it was fun working with everybody. But Christine, it was really fun working with you. It really was. It really was. But Christine, you're not the only host of this show that I've worked with.
I know this, and I just heard this.
Yeah,
and I did not know this before.
Even farther.
Oh my God, the Burger King commercial, man.
That's right.
What did you guys have to do in the commercial? Because I did a little counter girl action myself. Do you remember the lines that you had, or were you just buddies going up and ordering?
I don't think we had lines, David. I think it was just us doing activities, like what they call like B-roll footage of us doing activities, right?
Yeah, I think we were doing chores or something, but we spent a couple days out at that house, maybe in Westchester or something. And
well, it's funny. We shot at typically when you did commercials on the East Coast, you went to a fancy neighborhood in like Rye or in like Westchester, and you shot in like fancy neighborhoods. It was like idyllic suburban situations. Yeah, but hey, David, can I just say something about you on this podcast? And I promise we'll get to. Well, we don't have any rules here, right? I can do
no
rules, dude, and we can edit.
David, I got to tell you, I really think about you, and not only you, but your family a lot. You'll never remember this, but we worked together, and my family was going through something. Like my parents were going through. I'm not complaining about my home life, but there was a struggle going on in my home life, you and your family took me to a Rangers game. Do you remember this?
Oh, yes.
You don't remember this. You took me to a Rangers game, and your father bought me a Rangers hat. It was the first Rangers game I'd ever been to. And it was such a tough time in my personal life. And I had such a fun time. And your dad bought me a puck and a hat. And it meant so much to me. It really did, David. And I just want to thank you and your family and your parents. And it was such a like a salvation for me. And anytime I see anything remotely involving hockey, it brings such a happy memory to me. I'm not even kidding. And it's funny, now that I have 14-year-old kids, I think we were younger then. I'm not calling you out. You're a touch older than me. I was 12 at the time. I think you're a couple years older than me. But I like, now that my kids are 14, I really like when I'm with their friends, I try and think about what a special time that was for me. Like just that afternoon, it was a Sunday afternoon that your parents took me and you to a Rangers game. And I really, whenever I do events with my kids' friends who's, everybody goes through stuff. I really think about that. I can't thank you enough. I think about you so fondly. I really do.
Dude, thank you so much, because I don't get to talk about my dad with people too often. He was a diehard Knicks and Ranger fan, and I'm sure he was so happy to have you with us and to give you a good day. And that's who he was, man. Thank you so much for saying that. I remember your dad too. I mean, your dad was the coolest guy. He was always with you, and the British accent, and he was so classy and cool. And
he's still around. He's still. My parents are older right now, and my father loves horse racing, so I take him. I take him to the racetrack as much as I can.
Please send him and Charlie my regards.
I will.
Let's go back. I know this is a 90s podcast, but we have to talk about Stand By Me, okay?
What time? Sure.
What were you doing at the time? I mean, I'm sure you were a kid auditioning, but like, what was it like auditioning for Rob Reiner and then getting into a role in one one of my favorite movies of all time, and that was a huge phenomenon.
You know, David, you met me after Stand By Me came out. So
Yes.
before then, it's really interesting, and it's so funny for me because I now see it through the eyes of a parent who has children when I was around that age. You know, actually, my children are 3 years older than I was when I was in Stand By Me, and it's crazy because I have one daughter who does act at school and stuff, and when I see her working, she reminds me so much of myself in that movie, you know?
Really?
Wow.
But it's really funny when I was well, I grew up in New York City and I had a few after school activities that my parents put me in. And one of them was on Sundays, I acted at HB Studios. They were sort of like a teen acting school taught by a woman named Marlene Mancini, who still teaches. I looked on their website. And I remember it was, I was about 10 at the time, and the kids were about 15, 16. So it was really fun for me to be there because it was like older kids who smoked cigarettes and like wore leather jackets with Canal Street Jean Company pins on there. And like they had facial hair. They were like older kids, you know? And, you know, I was,
You were
not
at
really
the
good at
professional
sports.
children's school, right?
Well, no, this is before I went to high school and everything.
Oh, okay.
And I was in public school in New York, and I remember one Sunday I was in that class, and it was an improv acting class. So they set scenarios, and then you had to improv and act and get into character, and you had to choose characters and all that stuff. And we did a scene. Like, I think someone's had a suggestion. They said, "You're on a rooftop, go." And it was like a group of us. And I am 10 and I'm with like 16-year-olds. And I came up with this whole bit. You know, I now know, having done improv, it's called The Game, where I didn't want anyone to stand on pigeons, that take care of the pigeons. Like, we have to save the pigeons, right? It's a funny bit. And it was killing. And after the class, this is the first time in my life anyone ever said this. Like, the 16-year-olds like came up to me and went, "Hey man, was really good. That was really funny. You were really good at that." And it was the first time in my life someone told me, by the way, my family, anyone, it was the first time in my life anyone said you were really good at something.
Oh.
And
Oh, wow.
it really, like, I swear to you, it really, like, it clicked with me. It clicked with me. Now, I had no real outlet for it because, I mean, other than that, I was only shining on Sundays until I went on a cattle call for a movie at the time called The Body, which later became Stand By Me.
Right. Stephen King.
And I got a call back, and then there was an actor who lived on my street, and my mother had me practice the sides. We established what sides were earlier in the podcast.
Well done. Well done.
With a guy who was an actor on our street who was in Pink Flamingo. Oh, I'm sorry, The Flamingo Kid, a movie directed by Gary Marshall, which ironically you cannot find streaming or anywhere. It's really tough to find. I've tried to look it up.
Great movie.
And I practiced with him. And so when I went in for my audition with Rob Reiner, I was ready for it. And by a stroke of luck, right time, right place, right age, it was for, I played the character I played, Vern, was a husky kid. I happened to be husky. Is just luck. And I was in Stand By Me, and listen, this is luck too. Stand By Me became a hit. It's a cult classic. It's a classic.
Oh,
I'm in a classic movie.
Yeah, it holds up, man. It's seriously
I'm in
one
two
of the
classic films, Stand By Me and Room 6.
Oh boy, we're never going to get it. Room 6 is just going to be a recurring theme through this podcast. Sorry to all the listeners out there.
God, by the way,
yeah.
we're going to get those streams up on that movie.
We
yeah,
really
everybody stream and download Room 6.
Oh, and let me just tell,
going to.
I'm sorry to take up the whole interview, but there's nobody else here, and
It's just
I don't know.
us.
I've got to beat Adam Derwitz. I've got to beat him. It's funny when I got to set. You know, I had been told my whole life, but leading up to being on set on Stand By Me, I had been an extra in a commercial before that. I was an extra. And but I had been told, even by when I was like an extra in that commercial and in every class and in every setting I was in, like, be quiet, shut up. You know, my mother would say, like, when you go to school, do not speak unless you're spoken to. I was always getting in trouble. They tried to put me on Ritalin at the time. It's
Oh no.
probably a different drug now. They called me hyperactive. This is before ADHD. They said I was, you can't
Sure.
tell from this interview, but like I was like hyperactive. And it's funny, I remember literally day one on set, day one rehearsing with Rob Reiner and River Phoenix, God rest his soul, and Corey Feldman and Will Wheaton. I remember doing something extra in a scene, ad-libbing, you know, the same thing I did when I was in that drama class and I got rewarded for it and doing it. And Rob Reiner looking at me and saying, "Hey, Jerry." And I was like, "Oh God, here it comes. Like, sit on your hands, shut up, you know." And he looked at me and he went, I want to see more of that. Go farther.
Wow.
And I remember,
Oh,
and literally it was like a switch went off of me. And I was like, wow, I've just been in the wrong settings. Like, I need to change my settings.
Right. And your
yeah.
instincts have value, right? And
Oh,
you
that gave me chills.
I know,
That
I
is
love
know.
that.
so
What a
great.
great lesson.
And so really, even as an adult, like, I strive to put myself in settings where I can thrive. I can't really change who I am. You know, sometimes as an actor, if I work on like, I have a recurring role on Billions on Showtime. And, you know, when I'm in a scene with Paul Giamatti or with Damian Lewis or with Corey Stahl, like, I make sure to sit on my hands. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not coming in there like, "Hey, you know, Mr. Giamatti, come on, let's mess around with the scene. Let's get crazy." You know, I'm like, you know,
Oh, but
I
you felt
do know
comfortable
when.
changing Stephen King's dialogue, no problem.
Sorry, Mr. King. So it's like really funny. Like, you got to find your settings. You know, you got to find. And I'm really fortunate that it's just luck that it just timed out that way. It's luck. It's absolute luck.
You guys were so great together and so
Yeah.
natural. I mean,
Yeah.
if anyone's worked
I,
with
I
kids,
I
it's
watched the movie. I watched the movie just the other night. It was on TV, and I tried to watch it with my kids, and I said, "Come on, let's watch this." But they're like so deep into TikTok. The fact that Stand By Me is longer than 15 seconds, and we didn't break into dance and Stand By Me. They were like, "This is boring. Can we go?"
yeah, Christine and I have
But
had the same experience with our kids.
yeah, really, I can't get my kids off that TikTok. I'm really worried about my kids.
They don't have the attention span to watch a 2-hour movie.
But Jerry,
My kid-
Stand By Me holds up. We just showed our son who's 17. Ben and I just we during the pandemic we just did a whole, you know, as most families did. We did a real deep dive and just went into so many of the movies we loved so much, and it came on one of our lists. We were like, yes, Quinn is going to love this. Oh my God, it's just it just gets you. It's such a good movie. It's beautiful.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny. Like, we all try and figure out like what's the secret to good storytelling. And, you know, it's funny, because I think often about Stand By Me, and why it has worked and really stood the test of time. And I think it was, this is my opinion, I think it was a combination of things. Rob Reiner was a sitcom actor. So he was a dialogue heavy actor. Like,
Right.
we're like, and you both have experience with sitcoms. Like, you rehearse, you film.
Exactly.
So he really, you know, and they don't do this on movies anymore because they just don't have time, or they just don't. It's just not how it's done. You know, he brought us in weeks before we even shot anything, and we went to each location and we rehearsed every scene and rehearsed
Wow.
every scene and rehearsed every scene. And because he came from a sitcom background, and you all know this, lines changed, jokes were made, more dramatic lines came in. They rewrote, we rehearsed. And then when it came time to shoot, which is when you get to a set, there's 100 crew members. It's like, all right, we start at 7, go, 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 shoot, shoot, shoot. He literally said, all right, boys, show them. And then, like trained animals, we would go to our spots and run the scene. And he'd say to the director of photography, light it up, let's shoot it. and then we'd shoot it. So it was an adventure movie rehearsed and prepped like a sitcom.
Wow.
And it really, I've never seen that style of directing since, because we live in a world where sitcom people are not allowed to do movies. They just do sitcoms. You know this as well as I do, you know?
Also, when you're working with your 4 leads are children, I would imagine he had the foresight to know that the rehearsal process and getting you guys ready to go was priceless, right? I mean, it could have gone very wrong.
But you all work on sets. Typically what they do is they call it putting it on its feet. That happens the day you're shooting.
Yep.
So you're basically doing it on the fly. And it was just such a well-rehearsed, it just goes to show, like the process was different. Also, Rob Reiner had a director of photography named Thomas Del Ruth, who came from Westerns. So it's shot like a Western. There's just so many great, I think it was just a combination of a lot of things and just really resonated. Listen, it's really funny too, because my dad, who we mentioned earlier, had a few friends who dabbled in showbiz and didn't make it. And my dad worked in an office with a guy who tried to move to Hollywood to make it as a filmmaker and didn't make it, and gave up his 401k. And it was like, I remember my parents talking about it like he should have never gone to Hollywood. He made a big mistake. And so when we made Stand By Me, I remember coming back home to New York because we shot it in Oregon, and my father saying, "Hey, listen," because we shot it over the summer. He was like, "Hey, don't tell anybody you went to make a movie. This thing is never getting released. No one's ever going to see it. It'll never see the light of day.
Oh.
Don't tell people I'm a movie star now. This movie is never coming out."
Well, he must have been pleasantly surprised. And then
he doesn't
after,
even remember saying it to me.
were they supportive though?
Him,
After that, you ended up going to high school at PCS, right? The Professional Children's School.
Professional Children's School. I did audition for LaGuardia, which is the Fame School, and I did not get in. And I got to tell you, still super sour about that. Really burns me.
You weren't a singer dancer.
I'm super angry. It's so funny. A couple of auditions. I auditioned for Anchorman, the movie, and I didn't get it, and that was my fault. It was I was not funny enough in my audition. I auditioned for, you'll never remember this. This is how weird actors are. I auditioned for the Mod Squad, and I was like, I got this movie. I was like a hot actor in the 90s. This is the 90s podcast, and I was like, I got this shiz. This is mine. Booyah. Drop the mic. I did my audition, and I was like, mic drop. Where do I sign? And then Giovanni Ribisi got that role, and that really still bothers me, as you can see. And by the way, no one saw that movie. I mean, what am I talking about? I should be happy I didn't get that, but still angers me. Yeah. But the one that really burns is not getting into LaGuardia. That was a real bummer.
How was your time at PCS? There was a bunch of
Professional Children's School, for those who don't know, is a private school in New York, which actors, predominantly ballet dancers and musicians, go to, because there are a lot of classically trained musicians that are very young that need a high school experience, and a lot of ballet dancers who are traditionally high school aged. I got to tell you, it was a great experience for me. I came from public school and went to a private school, and I really welcomed it. It was funny. Private school was so different than public school. It really it changed my perspective. I'm so happy I have all perspectives, and I love my time at public school. But
was it competitive? I mean, I'm looking at the notes here, and Macaulay Culkin, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Tara Reid were your classmates. Were you guys rooting for each other, or was there a competitive?
It was competitive. I remember, I remember in my day, it was a lot of the Cosby Show. This is a 90s podcast. Was the biggest hit in the world, and all the Cosby kids, Malcolm Jamal Warner, and Tempest Bledsoe went to PCS, Professional Children's School. And I wouldn't say I felt competitive with them. I think I was probably more of a fan. I mean,
Right.
I probably didn't even think I was on their level. Oh, you know what? Let me also tell you something about Stand By Me. When it came out, it wasn't popular with my peers. Um, it was popular with older kids. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
Uh,
Y-
when Stand By Me came out, I was 12. 12-year-olds weren't seeing that movie. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, a
Um,
little too slow, a little too much of a, the drama of it, right? You needed to be a little bit older, I think, right?
So I'm going to get in trouble for this. You can bleep this part out, but someone in my life is older than me by like a year and a half, my wife. And um, I was dating my wife. We were dating and we were just dating. I didn't know if things were going to go places, but we were taking a major step. And my wife is from Northern California. So I went to go meet her family, and that's like kind of a big step. And go up to Northern California, and I meet her family, and I meet her younger sister, who's really funny. And her younger sister is like, Stand By Me is Rebecca. That's my wife's name. Stand By Me is like Rebecca's favorite movie. And I was like, what? And my wife was like, shh, stop. And she was like, Stand By Me is like her favorite. She had a poster of it in her room and everything.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, wow, Rebecca never told me that. So my wife, who's a little bit older than me,
And let's tell the
huge fan.
listeners what is a supermodel, Rebecca Romaine.
Yeah, Rebecca Romaine. We're still married. We're kicking it somehow.
Awesome.
Don't know how that happened.
Congratulations.
I know. I think, Christine, when you and I worked together, we were just married.
Yes, because we have our mutual friends, Monica and Gino, and we would, we were telling me wedding stories. You were giving me some dirt on our mutual friends.
No, never
dirt. Only good things. Yeah, Jerry, I have to say, for you to have made the transition from being a child actor, and as you said, it was luck, you fell into it, you knew that it was that, like you said, that gear that you found that worked for you. But making that transition then, what was that process like? Like, what was that period of time from high school into college?
I went to college, and wow, it's so funny. I had a couple.
Did you study acting? Did you go to NYU? You
No,
went to NYU?
I went to New York University. I was in their film program.
Okay.
But I wasn't really making films because at the time, this is a 90s podcast, you had to buy film, and film is expensive. I mean, now you can just shoot things digitally, but I didn't really make any movies. I wrote a couple scripts that I got credit for. I was in their writing program, I guess you could say. And I was just going to college. But it's funny. I was talking to a couple people who were like, when you want to go do something, you have to dedicate your whole life to it. And it's like, I was talking to somebody who's an actor out here in LA, and he was like, I had to just give everything up and just say, I'm not going to get another job. I'm not going to do anything else. I'm just going to concentrate on acting. And I didn't do that. I was in college, and I started, I didn't really work after Stand By Me. I mean, and it's funny. I remember feeling like jealousy about I remember going to see vampire movie, Corey Feldman, Corey Haim,
Lost Boys. Yep.
Oh,
in the
yeah.
theater, and seeing Corey Feldman in there, who I was in Stand By Me with. And I remember one of my friends saying like, hey, that guy was in Stand By Me. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, why aren't you in that movie? And I remember being like, yeah, why aren't I in that movie? Like,
Well, you had a major physical transformation. I mean, from the way you looked as a child to now, not even now, but a few years after Stand By Me, you were tall and handsome and ripped and
growth spurt.
No, you were a completely different type of look.
Just a hottie.
Just a hottie, man.
But
let's talk about Jerry Maguire. Was Jerry Maguire your first big role back as an adult?
Well,
No, Kim, wait, we got to go back. We got to go back
So
because
it's funny. So I started I started auditioning for commercials in New York really heavily in college. And I started to work, when David and I did that Burger King commercial, we were young, but like I started to really become a commercial actor in college. And by the way, this is back when you could be really successful booking commercials. Like I was paying for college by doing commercials and then having money left over.
Amazing.
And I was also living at
Yes.
home. I was saving all kinds of money. And it was that led to like going up for what they call pilot seasons. So doing like TV shows, I got a pilot for Fox on a TV show called Sliders, and I was an adult, I had armpit hair. I had gone through that growth spurt that you're talking about.
I remember that show.
Sliders was so cool.
After that I got Jerry Maguire, and that was a big hit movie. And I think that's when people started to say, like, "Oh, that's the fat kid from Stand By Me," and that was sort of like
He's all grows up.
Happened to be 21 when they were looking for a quarterback for Jerry Maguire, and it just lucky,
Wait, Christine, what did you want to go back to? What did we skip?
No, well, you did skip before. You're forgetting one in there. It didn't quite have the same impact Sliders had, but there was a little movie that you did called Calendar Girl. Oh, yeah. And if we're going to talk about auditions, Jerry, I read with you for Calendar Girl.
Jason Priestley, right?
Yes. You and I read together. That was one I won. And first of all, the first movie I ever did, because I didn't get the role of your girlfriend in that movie, but they gave me a tiny part at the end where I'm like dressed, I'm like in a Marilyn Monroe wig, and I go into the phone booth with Gabe Olds. And, but you and I read together, and I remember feeling like this is going to be my big break. Like this is my movie. Like I got this thing. I got this thing.
If you recall, it was actually quite an honor. We read for Penny Marshall.
Yes, I remember it. Yeah. So it was on the Sony lot. I remember it vividly.
So you know what's funny?
John Weitzel.
What's really funny is that, that was simply because I think Penny Marshall, who was married to Rob Reiner.
Yeah, I was going to say, did Rob put in a good word for you?
Interesting.
I think it was like a Stand By Me connection. It's so funny.
Yeah.
I think it was like a Stand By Me connection. Christine, I know you didn't get the big role, but the film, I think you and I are the only two talking about it. I think
if we're going to go back to sides, it's very funny that you said that, because throughout the entire process, like you never got, if you were reading for a small part, you never got the full script. So I only ever had like this one scene with no context. And I even remember when they gave me the other role, I was like, I still don't even know what this role is. And I showed up on the set, and apparently I was supposed to be in a Marilyn Monroe wig, and I was supposed to be mistaken for, like, it's a Marilyn Monroe story. For all of those listeners who have not seen Calendar Girl, you can, by the way, stack that one with Room 6.
The streams on Room 6 and Calendar Girl are going up. I cannot wait for that 25-cent check coming in.
That will be fun for us. But yes, so I just wanted to just tag that as one of my little 90s memories, because it was the first movie that I was ever in. And you were, again, I didn't know you then, but you made me feel like $1 million when I went in. You made me feel so comfortable. I was so nervous. So I just wanted to share that little side note.
It's so funny. It's so funny how the business changes. Back in our day, you auditioned for everything in a room, and a group of people looked at you, and it's a nerve-wracking experience. And because I did so many commercial auditions, which are, Christine, I don't know if you really did the commercial thing, but David, you can attest.
Tons.
You go on.
I did a ton of them. Yeah.
Yeah, Jerry, we were running around the city every afternoon.
5 auditions a day, 4 days a week. You're going on 20 auditions a week, and you're not getting any of them. So
we didn't care. It was fun anyway.
Yeah, you get this attitude of like, I don't give a crap. This is it. This is who I am, and you can hire me or not. And it's funny how the business changes. Now everything is like, for any actors listening, it's a self-tape world. So there's no more going into rooms. You're
I
judged on
know.
what you shoot on your
But
phone.
I don't envy this generation now. I feel like there's something so, yes, it's convenient, but don't you feel like there's such a disconnect?
Listen, I don't want to come on a 90s podcast and be like, these kids today don't get it.
No, but I feel like
changes.
not having it changes, it evolves. It's true. There's pros and cons.
We
that's
had
for sure.
a grit and a toughness and thick skin about us.
Yeah.
that
Changes.
Yeah. So Jerry, Calendar Girl, though, I remember reading for that movie. Everyone our age read for that movie, but that was a big one to get. And then,
but it didn't. I don't think it really. I don't think you have to worry about it changing the course of your life.
No, but it probably
but
changed
at the time, you don't know.
for you.
I went to go see it opening day in Long Island, and I was like the only person in the theater.
Oh no, I'm sure Jason Priestley was not happy about that.
I talked to him a lot. He's a fun guy.
Yeah, no, he's great. But for you,
Get
that
him
must
on this show.
that would have been a big breakthrough for you to have a role as a grown, handsome, guy that is very different than the Stand By Me kid.
You would have thought, but it didn't do anything, guys. It didn't do anything. It didn't do anything. You know what's so funny? If there's any lesson to be had, and what I've learned is I have zero expectations in life. I expect everything.
So you're never disappointed.
Yeah. I mean, by the way,
that comes with age. I think that comes with age, right?
Yeah.
Did you? Yes.
I haven't lost my zest to live and succeed. I just expect nothing. By the way, from my kids, from my wife, from my career, I expect nothing, and then everything is.
Then you're surprised. Then you're delighted. Then you're just delighted.
Right. Everything's a bonus. So how did Jerry Maguire come to be? Because you play the star quarterback who's about to be drafted. Jerry Maguire is your agent, and you and Bo Bridges, your father, just completely walk away from him.
It was an audition. I actually auditioned to be the agent. Bob Sugar,
Jay
Moore, yes.
And I had a funny take on an agent that I had at the time who was I got a big time agent at a big time agency, and I sort of based it on him. In the audition, they said, "Will you read this role?" And I read for the quarterback, and
How was working with Tom and with Cameron Crowe?
I mean, amazing.
Everything you'd think.
Amazing. Yeah, it's really fun to watch a movie star. It's really it's fun. I just studied them. I just watched them. I just watched them. And by the way, when you meet people on that level, and we know people on that level, they're really nice. They're usually there.
Yep.
People on that level are usually there because let me rephrase that. People on that level who stay on that level for decades are there because they're really nice people. And it was a great experience. I didn't bother him too much. He's Tom Cruise,
Yeah, we were talking to Jeff Bridges about this the other day, that the most talented people that have worked for a long time are usually the most giving, generous people.
Yeah.
Right? They care about
and
the
also,
work.
the one who love the experience of just being on a set, who
Right.
who are constantly taking it in and loving every minute of it. And I feel like that's what it feels like with Tom Cruise. I mean, Ben has directed him and can attest that there is nobody who comes to the party more ready to play than him. And it shows in the movie. I mean, you're the one we all hate, we the audience, because you don't stay with Jerry.
Yeah.
Damn you.
Sorry about that.
Right, but Tom Cruise is walking the floor with his other client that he keeps, Tidwell.
Yeah.
And so what you did a great job in that movie. And then Scream 2, how was that?
So fun, because in life when you move to LA especially, you feel like it's so funny. You like look in the hills of Hollywood and you see the twinkling lights and you think like there are parties going on up there
And
and
I'm
I'm
not
not
there.
invited. I'm not there. And you have a couple friends, but you go to like Dublin's and they're like goofballs, and it's like you just like look up at like the lights in the hills of Hollywood, and you're like, how do I get there? How do I get to those parties? And then I get in Scream 2, and I'm hanging with the cast of Scream 2 every night, and I'm
And
partying with them.
You're at the
And
party.
a lot of them
finally.
live in the hills, in houses with
You
lights.
felt
And I
a
remember
part of.
I remember walking into like Courtney Cox's house and walking into Nev Campbell's house and being like, I'm invited to some of these parties now. Here I am. Look at me.
Those were
You
the cool.
looked down.
They
you
were the
looked
cool
down on
kids.
Dublin's.
At all your old friends.
Yeah.
Jerry,
But by the
and
way, I
did-
do want to say to my old friends, when they were like, where are you going tonight? What are you doing? I did not take any of them. I was like, I'm not going with you. You ain't coming with me, man. Later.
I earned this.
I'm lucky.
You
I'm
ain't
invited.
invited to this party.
Hey, did both of you guys audition for the original Scream? Because that was another one. I auditioned for that. That one was like the movie everyone wanted to get in our age range.
I didn't. I don't know why.
I
didn't have a good
don't know.
agent.
I can't remember. But yeah, those were the cool kids at the time, and to be a part of that, I get what you're saying, man. It's like
Yeah, and we went out.
you're in the club.
We went out at night. It was, yeah, I was at the parties. It was really
You
fun.
made it. You made it.
And then Can't Hardly Wait, another group of the cool kids.
I've been so fortunate, man. There were some really good movies made in the 90s that I just got in somehow.
Was that one was Deb Kaplan and Harry?
Yeah,
Hawthorne. Yes,
yeah. I was just going to say their names.
Yes, exactly. And they wrote
Yeah.
they wrote the Brady sequel. They were
100%.
writers.
Oh, really?
They're really
They're a great
and they
writing
were
team,
such
a great
yes,
directing
great.
team, and really fun,
So cool.
talented. Still killing it in the business, and they were it was so fun.
Well, I want to go back to did you keep in touch with Corey Feldman and Will
Yeah.
Wheaton and what was it like when River passed
You know,
away? I mean, that must
when
have
River
been
passed
crushing.
away, it's still something I think about all the time.
He was one of the best.
It's just such a loss for all of us. It's very emotional too. I told you I rewatched Stand By Me the other night, and at the end, his character passes away, and it's like so emotional. You know,
Oh my god.
it's just as upsetting.
Yeah.
It's just upsetting. I don't know how else to say it. You know.
I know. And what about the other guys? You still have you
Stay in
talk
touch
to
with
them?
Corey. I follow Corey. I try and retweet whenever his band is playing and all that stuff. And Will Wheaton, I see a lot often. He's actually a television host now. He hosts a show called The Ready Room. You should get him on this show.
Awesome.
He's a really funny host with all things Star Trek on Paramount Plus. Paramount
So great.
Plus. And
Plus.
he's a character. Christine, he was there that day when we auditioned for Calendar Girl, if you recall. You probably don't recall it, but he had a brand new Toyota 4Runner, and I remember being like, when I get some money, I'm gonna get a 4Runner as well.
Stop. No, I remember you. Here's the, David, you and I talked, just to tie it back a little bit, when, David and I talked about when our show, Hey Dude, came on the air, because we were this little cable show. We looked at I remember I was at the Kids' Choice Awards or it was the Universal Studios or something where Will Wheaton was there. And I just remember thinking like, wow, that's Will Wheaton, that is Will Wheaton. And like, are we ever going to get to mingle with the Will Wheatons and the Jerry O's of the world? And yes. And now look at us, David. When
I didn't live in the hills.
Stick around long enough.
I lived at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, but you were
apartment, a small apartment.
You were the cool kids.
You
Christine
guys
has
were
been
the
to
cool
that
kids.
apartment. Christine has been to my apartment.
That's right.
Or a Bachelor screening party.
That is right. Oh my gosh. First of all, the other thing about that movie, Room 6, which we'll bring it up because we just have to bring it up at least 10 times before this ends. But I was pregnant with Quinn during that movie. And yes, you definitely knew, but I was
well, then I kept
I
it
was
secret. I didn't say anything. I mean,
yeah,
that's how good I
was
am with a
fairly
secret.
disguised through most of the movie until the end, and everybody's like, "Can you just try to suck in your stomach?"
Oh my gosh. Are you
For the
serious?
scene, I was like, "You can't just frame up a little
No
more."
way I said that.
Jerry, thank you. Wait, first of all, congratulations. You have a birthday show.
Yes, happy birthday, buddy.
We're going to do a little thing on the talk. I'm going to dance with the cast of Magic Mike Live. I'm going to be taking it all off and exposing all of it on
God.
daytime television. It's going to be super fun. I've been rehearsing.
We will be
rehearsing. You've been working out? Are you in the gym?
A lot of core work, David.
Well, I saw the Harry Styles. I saw the Harry Styles.
I know. By the way, what's so funny? If anyone's, I imitated Harry Styles after the Grammys and was like, "Sorry, Beyonce."
You're wearing like a unitard, or like you're wearing like was it
1,000? I lost 1,000 followers when I posted that. Can you believe how crazy that is? The Beehive was like, "No, I'm out of here."
Oh boy!
By the way,
don't mess with them.
Beyonce should have won at the end of it. So I'm sorry.
All right, let's go on the record. Jerry OConnell is in favor of Beyonce.
Queen Bee, and Harry.
I love you guys.
Happy birthday,
Jerry,
buddy.
Happy birthday. We love you. Thank you so much.
See you soon.
That was great, man. He always shows up 100%.
He's got such a zest for life. He loves his life. He loves his family. He is who he is, David. You know how we've just talked about, like, he puts it all out there, and he's so unapologetic about, and what I love is he's just so brutally honest too about everything.
He's genuine. He's absolutely genuine. It's not put on. It's not phony. He really is just a kind, sweet, happy guy. And I'm so happy we got to talk to him. And
he really has found his place. I mean, he's such a good actor, and he'll continue. Like, I love that he started out the interview saying, "I don't act anymore, but I have this recurring thing on Billions working with Paul Giamatti." Like, you don't get to say you're not an actor when you're on a show like that.
Right.
But that's how humble he is. And the fact that he can just do the show, by the way, with all women. He's the first male host, permanent host. Yes, it's an all women's talk show. They've had guest hosts, but he's a permanent host now. And for him to find his way in with the ladies is that's not an easy task. We're not an easy bunch.
I'm so happy for him because he seems to really enjoy it, and he seems to have like a natural talent for it,
Yeah.
He's in the right spot.
His sound, because he was sitting outside, and there were lots of, for the listeners, we could see him, but there were a lot of golf carts that were beeping.
Yeah, I
going
think
by.
he's right down near my house at CBS Radford. I'm pretty sure.
Anyway, what a great episode.
All right. Thanks, everyone,
really
for listening.
Yes.
We got more great guests coming up, and we don't want to give it away, but please come back next week.
Come back next week.
Yeah. Christine, great to see you.
All right, David.
Have a great week.
See you next time.
Okay, bye, guys.
Thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe and give us 5 stars.
And please follow us on Instagram at HeyDudeThe90s Called. See you next time.